today's topic we are looking at is SEO, AEO, and GEO. It's all about kind of getting your website found and how your website is showing up now that there is the explosion of AI. I'm going to try and do this in as non-technical terms as I possibly can. But again, like I said, if you have questions, please just ask. We want to make sure what we're explaining today really kind of emphasizes the fact that search has not gone away. People are still doing searches. They're just doing it a little bit different than they maybe did, 10 years ago when we first got started in this industry. The click has not gone away completely, but we're seeing that more searches are ending up without someone actually clicking through to the website. So what we're looking at today is how do we actually make sure that if someone is doing a search for our company or for the services that you offer, that you are being found and having your information presented in a zero click or a almost zero click world. Let's do a quick definition here on what we're even talking about. So we have SEO, which is search engine optimization, and that focuses on improving rankings within the search engine results pages. That includes optimizing technical elements. So this might be on-page items like link building or anchor links that are actually on your website pages. Could be link building off of your website. Could be just improving the website structure. So it's all about increasing visibility across a range of possible results. That's search engine optimization. AEO is probably one of the new ones that you might not have heard of before, and that is answer engine optimization. And that focuses on earning the single, maybe actually I have examples here. So here's an example of SEO, so traditional search engine optimization. I did a search for best web developer, Ferndale, Washington, and you can see in the map pack here, so these two listings at the top is what's called the map pack, Google's map pack. And then you can see down below here, it shows Yelp, and then it shows our Profusion website. So this is what we would consider traditional SEO, showing up in the map pack and then also being found with our website on the search engine results page. And then, like I was saying, it's AEO or the Anson engine optimization focuses on earning that single summarized response delivered by an AI system. So in this search, you can still kind of see the map off to the left, so ignore that one. But I did a search for who is the top web developer in Ferndale, Washington. And I get the AI overview that this actually is giving me three different possibilities. So it gives us, Profusion, as well as a couple of our competitors that are on there, but it's giving me the answer to the question that I have asked. AEO relies heavily on structured answers, clarity, and content that fits within a specific answer framework. Then if we look at GEO, you'll now see I have a search for should I hire Profusion Web Solutions for my website? So all different types of questions are getting me these different results. And you'll see GEO, which is generative engine optimization. It's related to AEO, but it is different. GEO focuses more on creating content that gets cited by AI, where AEO focuses more on optimizing the existing answers. So this gets cited where you can see the actual citations here. So you can see there's a little link, and if you click on the link, it pops open this kind of little link box on the right-hand side that shows it's citing Profusion, our actual website. It's citing Yelp, which is about us. And then the third citation is also about Profusion. So it links to our Profusion website right there as well. So SEO, search engine optimization, AEO is answer engine optimization, and GEO is generative engine optimization. SEO is that classic visibility, ranking in the local pack and being found. AEO is making your content easy to use as a direct answer, and GEO is earning trust signals so that AI includes you as a recommended option. So really, SEO is about getting indexed and discovered, AEO getting you understood and quotable, and GEO getting you trusted and recommended. We put out kind of a fun video yesterday about how we kind of likened AEO, GEO, and SEO to Harry Potter characters. It's up on our Instagram and YouTube as well. But basically, we said that SEO is Hermione Granger, know it all. She's going to have all the answers. She's going to have a bunch of information ready and available for you. She's going to be able to give you that information at any time. AEO is more Harry Potter. He is more relatable. He's going to be more kind of human. He's going to provide you answers to the questions that you're looking for on kind of a more plain speak approach. And then GEO, we likened to Professor McGonagall, where it is going to be, if she makes a recommendation, that is going to likely be very valid and trusted and come with some level of authority. Okay. Just to kind of give you a general breakdown on where AI pulls information from, because it is a variety of sources. AI can pull information from your website. So if you have the services pages, FAQs, an about us page, policy pages, all of that. Next week, we are doing a webinar on 5 ways you can make your website more attractive to AI. So I'm not going to go deep in onto what should be on your website. We will talk about that next week. But that your website is going to be a massive source of information for how AI understands what your business is all about. Your Google business profile, we'll talk again a little bit about that in this presentation, and the reviews that you receive. So your Google business profile is one of the only areas on the web besides your website where you really get to dictate the information that is shown. You get to choose what category you're in, you get to choose what pictures show up for the most part. You get to kind of supplement it with information about your brand and about your company. So making sure that your Google business profile is set up properly and that you are actively soliciting and responding to reviews about your company. We'll talk a little bit about this as we kind of get further into today's topic. Major directories, industry platforms is another place that AI is going to be pulling information. So companies like Yelp, Angie, House, Healthgrades. I'm even going to include, I know we talk about social proof on this last bullet, but even in the kind of major directories or platforms, I'm also going to include social media on this because your captions on your Facebook posts or on your Instagram posts, those are also included in kind of how AI is learning about your business. So what you're putting out there on social media is also something that AI can take a look at and say, okay, this is information that is coming from Profusion. We're going to include this in our knowledge base about that company. If you're involved in any local industry publications or associations, so if you've been cited in a trade magazine, if you are a member of your Chamber of Commerce, if you are in a local women's networking group, any association that your company has is also going to be kind of part of that that case that is being built for you and your business in AI. So all of that information they kind of put into their briefcase about your company. So that's just kind of general idea. So if you're wondering where is AI even getting this information, that's where all of this information about your company is coming from. If we look at where GEO and AEO, where those results are coming in, it's going to be part of the Google AI overviews. So that's the initial snippets that I kind of showed you when I was doing the searches for Profusion. So when I looked for the best web developer near me, and it showed, Profusion is one of the choices. That's where your influence on GEO and AEO, you can help your company be found more in those Google AI overviews. Those are those AI generated search summaries. The position 0 or the featured snippet, that's the highlighted summarized box at the very top of Google. I'm sure you've also seen when you've done your own searches that you'll see that the section that says people also ask or people also search for in those boxes. You can also, kind of influence what shows up there based on the products and services that you provide. Voice search response. So I did a search earlier when I was preparing for this just to say, hey Siri, who's the best web developer near me? And it gave me 3 different answers. And so people are doing obviously voice searches, especially if you are needing directions for something or if you're looking for a local business recommendation. Voice search and voice search responses are incredibly important to your business. And then obviously AI chatbots and engines. So any answers generated from platforms like ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity, your AEO and GEO will influence that as well. And then any knowledge or knowledge graph or panel that shows up on those search results can also be influenced. So all of what we're talking about today and making sure that your business is kind of set up and ready for GEO and AEO is going to help your business be found in all of the areas that I have here, or all of the different sections that I have here. All of these are contributing to what we call either 0 clicks, so a search that is being done that does not result in a click. So on the graph on my screen right now, you're seeing that they did a study. This was back in late 2024. a study of 10,000, a little over 10,000 searches only resulted in 477 clicks. So people are either finding the information that they need without having to click through to a website, or they're, opting to do another search. But either way, we're not seeing a lot of clicks going through to websites. We'll talk about how to measure results based on this because this is happening, but just know that your analytics might show that your traffic has gone way down, right? You might see impressions go up and your website traffic go down because people just aren't having to visit traditionally to your website in order to find the information that they're looking for. Okay. So the more information you can provide to AI about your business, the more likely you are to be able to be found on any of those different places that we just looked at. If your customer, if, let's say you own a plumbing company, I'm going to pick, I happen to know that one of the people registered for today's webinar is a plumbing company in Magnolia, Texas. So I'm going to pick on you a little bit. If someone is looking for plumbing services in Magnolia, Texas, and they search for it and they find you in the map and they click on your phone number and make a phone call, that's still a win for you, right? We still want that to happen. That's a conversion and we like that. So we don't necessarily need people to click through to the website. We just need to make sure that we can be found. So how is it that if I did a search here for who is the best plumber in Magnolia, Texas, and I see in the little red outlined square there, I see companies like Magnolia Plumbing and Heating, Tomball, and Ruderman. Those three got called out specifically. I happen to know the person that is on the call today, she didn't get called out. So her company name is not showing up in there. So why is it that some companies get selected and others don't? You can help AI choose to have you be selected here if they're able to quickly identify who you are as a company, what you do, so what services you provide, where you serve, what your actual geographic reach is for your business, and why you're trustworthy. So why they should recommend you. In order for your website and your information to be found in any of the places that I just showed you, this information needs to be easily identifiable. You can do this by creating what we call the mention engine. This really, if you take nothing else from this presentation today, this is basically the presentation. Everything we're going to learn from here on out is basically on the screen right now. Mentions happen when the platform, so Perplexity or Chat or Claude, when the platform feels confident. If your business details are messy or inconsistent, it's going to hesitate and will look for a business that doesn't have the messy or inconsistent message. If your services pages are vague or they're lacking in information, it's not going to be able to quote you in the AEO, in the answers, right? If your website is broken, if you have broken links, if images take a long time to load, if form submissions are not going through, it won't send leads to your website. So again, this is basically the whole webinar in one slide, but we are going to dive into each one of those pillars. So the first pillar is what we're calling entity clarity. You want to make your business as unconfusing as possible. This could be in the form of making sure that your service pages, so if you have, we can stick with our plumbing example. If you do, plumbing repairs, emergency plumbing, you do new construction with plumbing, you want to make sure that each one of those services has a page on your website and is really clear and specific about the services that you offer and where. So every service that you have should have its own website, including some frequently asked questions about those services. We'll talk a little bit about that on the next slide. The other big thing I want to call out here, so not only do you need to have the content on your page so it's really clear what you do, it is really important that your name, address, and phone number, what can be referred to as NAP, N-A-P, that your name, address, and phone number is consistent across the web. So if your business is, we're Profusion Web Solutions. If we were shown as Profusion Web Digital Solutions in one directory and Profusion Web Services in another directory and Profusion Web Solutions in Google, that's going to confuse any of the AI, and it's going to make it so that it's okay, we don't know exactly who this Profusion is, and so we're not going to include information about them, or we're going to include information about them that has, some kind of caveat around it. If you want to run a scan, we offer a free scan that you just go to scan.profusionwebsolutions.com. You'll see once you enter in your information, so just put in your name, your business name, and your address, and make sure you put your address in the way that it appears on your website most likely. Include that information, hit run scan, and in real time, you're going to see a results box that looks like the little graph that's on my screen right now. And it's going to tell you what directories have your name, address, and phone number correct, and in what directories you are confusing the different, either search engines or AI. So that is something that you want to make sure is cleaned up as well, is that your name, address, and phone number is consistent across the board. And then last, I don't want to call out some of our other customers that I know are on here, but we do have a large customer base um, that they are a franchise, and they tend to all use um, a website that is kind of given them to them by the corporate headquarters. Okay, so I'm not going to try and call you out by name, but you know who you are. If I go to your specific franchise website, and if I go to the About Us page and I see about information that is about your headquarters, that is a fail on your part. Even if you own a franchise, your About Us page should show about you, the franchise owner, and where you live, and what products and services you provide, and what your experience is, and why you're the best choice. I know that those franchise sites, they do give you the ability to make edits, and you should be making those kind of edits. Excuse me. Okay. So again, not to call out a couple of people there, but I just want to make sure that you know exactly what I'm talking about here. Okay. Moving on to pillar number two is the main focus of AEO, so answer engine optimization, is going to be to have your information be quotable. Your site should answer questions like cost and timeline. Do I need a permit? What's included? Any of the most frequently asked questions that people would ask before they work with you, your website should also answer this. Now, I'm going to show you something on my screen right now. Might be hard to read, but so I'll just kind of give you the gist of what this is. One of the most frequently asked questions that we get as a web development company or as a digital marketing agency is, how much does it cost? That's a really hard question for us to answer because it's like asking, how much does a car cost? It really depends. Do you need a coupe? Do you need an SUV? Do you need four-wheel drive? Do you need a truck? So many variables go into it, right? So it's hard to answer that question with just one broad answer. But I will say, if this teaches you anything, what you see on my screen right now, I did a quick search for what does a website cost? What does a website from Profusion Web Solutions cost? We don't have this information specifically laid out on our website. Well, we didn't. We do now because of this, but we didn't have this specifically laid out. And because AI doesn't really like to say, gosh, I don't have an answer to that. You should call them. You should call that company and get an answer. AI is not going to do that. It's just going to come up with its best guess. So you can see on my screen, it says based on available search results, and it gives some kind of qualifying information here, but it highlights an hourly rate of $25 to $49, which is not accurate. And then it goes on to further give some information here that says we have projects that often range between $50,000 and $200,000. Great, would love that. But we also work with a lot of small companies. So and then it offers an alternate option of Profusion 360, which is not us. So it has totally just kind of taken its best guess based off of available information on the internet and has put it into an answer that actually is really wrong information. So to combat this, while we normally wouldn't want to put out a price list, that's not something that we like to do because we do like to have conversations with our customers before we just give them pricing. We like to make sure that we're solving their problem, that we know and understand what they need before we provide pricing. And to combat that, we are now having to put out our pricing, or else it has just really wrong information. So there is you want to put out information that helps the AI companies or the AI engines create a full comprehensive picture of what your business is all about, including potentially pricing. Even if you don't usually put out pricing, it might be a good idea for you at least to say, here's a range, right? Like here's a range of the prices so that it doesn't come up with a random hallucination like what we have on my screen right now. All right, pillar number three is authority and trust. And this really is for that generative engine optimization. And the goal is to be recommendable. You want AI to be able to recommend your business. AI and search, they lean on proof. So this is where if you get reviews from Google Business Profile, this is where reviews matter because they are independent mentions of your business. And they matter because they're that external validation. It's not you saying how great you are. It's not you saying we have the best X, Y, and Z. It is actual people who have used your business before validating that you are and you do what you say you're going to do. So if on your website you have all things like we offer the best in the world, the best cup of coffee in the world, as alluded to my elf gif here, change that to something like we have the best black coffee on the upper east side or something like that that is actually something verifiable that people could actually they would say that about your company. So offer content that is not exaggerated, it's not hype, it's just simple and truthful and consistent in your brand voice. Reviews, like I said, they matter a lot. People ask us if they should be gathering reviews on Google versus Facebook versus just gathering them on your website. And at this point, I would say that Google reviews are going to be the ones that you want to lean into the most. Getting reviews consistently. So we have, having a system to be able to solicit reviews on a regular basis is going to be incredibly important. Every time you finish a job, send that email that says, "Hey, we really appreciate you working with us as a small business. We really heavily rely on reviews, and if you wouldn't mind please giving us a Google review and linking to it." Okay. Having proof, certifications, licenses, guarantees on your website. We offer case studies on ours just so people can feel comfortable about using us. Anything that you can kind of remove that fear factor barrier is going to help with GEO. Okay, the last pillar here is access and experience. Even if you get mentioned in AI, even if you do have that zero-click placement, if taking the next step becomes painful for me as the user, then AI is not going to continue to recommend to send traffic to your website or mention you in those zero clicks. So you have to make sure that your website is fast. It's mobile friendly. I've got a link there to the pagespeed.web.dev. That's Google's page speed test. Go take a look and see how your website is actually performing. And then somewhat objectively try and look at your website and say, okay, is it easy for someone to convert on my site? Can they call me? Can they book an appointment? Can they request a quote? Are my forms working? If you go through and you fill out the form on your website, do you receive notification that that form has been submitted? And then always make sure that your most important information is visible. Your contact information, your how someone can the hours of operation, your location. So all of that should be in an easy and visible place for people to be able to see. Again, making it easy to access your website and making the experience good. If we were going to tell you one way you can nail all four of those pillars, my first thing I'm going to tell you that you have to get right is your Google business profile. If you don't know what that is, we will have a whole session on that. But go to business.google.com. And if you have a login and you can manage your account, do go in and make sure that you've claimed your business profile, that the information is correct, that you have, your hours are right, that your categories are selected correctly. It's going to look like I have a screenshot of ours up right now. It's going to look somewhat like that. It'll have your business name, your location, all of that will appear in your Google business profile. But claiming that and optimizing that is going to be your step one to getting a lot of the AEO and GEO correct. Making sure you have service pages on your website that match what people are actually searching for. So if they're looking for web development, have a web development page. If they're looking for, whatever services you provide, make sure that you have a page for each one of those services and include a list of FAQ on every one of those service pages. So if people have questions on, how to hire you or how much you charge or what the process looks like, have you done this before? Have all of those as an FAQ on your site. Have a place or a system in review for have a system in place, getting my words all mixed up, have a system in place for getting reviews. So again, post project launch, after you've made a sale, after you've, whatever your transaction looks like, make sure you're asking for those reviews. Not only is it just good as a business owner to kind of have that check-in point to make sure that you're providing the services that you that you say you're going to provide. You want to make sure that you're actually doing what you say you're going to do, and that your customers are feeling that from you as well. But it does help with SEO, AEO, and GEO is getting those reviews and getting that proof. And then I have schema on here, but we're going to talk about that heavily next week. So you can take a look at schema. It's just structured data. It's basically allowing the search engines and the AI, the models to speak in their own language. Take a look at your website, and it basically allows them to in their language look and see that your website it has the right structured data. So we'll talk through that on next week's call. Now, how you measure success in this kind of new world is a little bit different than it used to be, because we used to, when we would, send out reports, we look a lot at how many people came to your website. So how many clicks did you get? How many users? How many visitors? And that is no longer kind of the gold standard for success measurements, right? We have to look now kind of beyond the number of clicks. Of course, we still want people to click through the website because the website is still very important, especially as a conversion tool. But now we have to look beyond that to look at, okay, in your Google business profile, did we see an increase in calls? Did we see an increase if you have a physical location? Did more people ask for directions to your location? Did more people upload a photo or a review or view photos that were already uploaded? In Google Search Console, we can look and see if impressions went up, even if clicks were flat. So if you still had, the same number of people that clicked through to your website, but the impressions were up, that indicates that your content was seen in the AI overview. And then, kind of the obvious one is if your lead quality is getting better, if people are starting to hire you and they seem more knowledgeable when they first make that phone call or send that email, it's because they probably did learn a little bit more about the products and services that you offer before they even called you. So before they even allowed you to introduce yourself, they already kind of know a little bit about you and about the products and services that you offer. So if the lead qualities are better fits, fewer tire kickers, then that's an indication that this is working as well. This is a lot of content on one screen. I understand that, but I did want to leave you with what we would call kind of an action plan. So here's 7 things that I would recommend that you do over the next little bit. Take a month to do this. So spend, half an hour a day working on this. But first is make sure your Google business profile is dialed in. And again, that's making sure your categories are correct in Google business profile, that you have pictures, that you are posting updates on a regular basis, that you're adding photos, that you're soliciting reviews, all of that. Number 2 is add photos to your Google business profile. So same thing. Number 1, they kind of go hand in hand there, but the more photos you add to Google business profile, it allows Google to understand and have a better understanding of what you do and who you offer, or who you offer your services to. So provide that. And then take a look at your website. Are you offering pages for each one of your services that you really want to be known and found for? Do you have a page for each one of those? If not, it's time to take a look at creating a core service page and making sure that it is really clear and who you are and what you do, who you offer it to, and then that you have the number 4 FAQs on there that shows, pricing, timeline, product offering, success stories, anything like that would be something that someone might have an objection to that fits into that FAQ. Number 5 is launch a review request process. This could be, we do it in email marketing. So you'll see in our email marketing, we went pretty heavy on it for the holidays and coming up with a system to request reviews. It's not something that is super comfortable, but the more times you do it, the better you get at it. So if you start feeling comfortable in asking for reviews, it is important for small businesses. And I think small business owners are of the mind to help each other. So if you ask for a review, and also be willing to give a review. So if you have had a good experience with the company, go leave them a review. And then it's kind of one of those things where if you leave them a review and then they offer or they use your services, they're more likely to leave you a review as well. Clean up your top directory listings. That was that scan that I first talked about on one of the pillar number 1, which was the entity clarity, making sure that your name, address, and phone number are consistent across the web. So again, you can go to scan.profusionwebsolutions.com and run a scan for your company. It's completely free to do. You can run that scan to see just how, if your citations need some cleanup, that'll show you exactly where you need to clean up. And then to your website, to your social media, to wherever you have the ability to add proof, add licenses, add testimonials, add case studies, add before and after pictures. anything that's going to show that you really can back up the claims that you're making on your website. We claim to be the best web developer in our area, and we consistently prove that by posting new case studies. We host webinars like this that just show our knowledge base. We're consistently doing things that back up the claims that we're making. So add that proof, case studies, anything that you have available or that you can create, put those on your website and on your social media. I realize I've been yapping for well over my allotted 20 minutes, so thank you for your extended time here. And I do want to jump in and see if there's any questions that I can answer. Let's see, we do have a question here. Jamie says, if the majority of your customers are B2B, what social media platform do you find is the best? That's a good question. On March 11th, we are having a full social media webinar, so feel free to jump in on that one too, but I'll answer it here. You want to be wherever your customers are. For us, we found that because we're B2B primarily also, we find that LinkedIn is an obvious one, but that a lot of our customers are a lot like us and they spend some time on Instagram and while they're not going to Instagram necessarily to maybe look for a web developer, they're looking for educational information. So we post things regularly to Instagram, to Facebook, and to LinkedIn, but you really just want to be where your customers are. And if they're spending time on Instagram, then you should have your information there as well. Of note, uh, again, the content that you're putting on social media now can be indexed in the search engines. So even if they're not seeing it immediately, so in chronological order that you're posting it, it can be used in those, excuse me, it can be used in those AI overviews. It can pull, the AI models can pull from your social media. So even if you're thinking, gosh, I'm looking at the insights on my Instagram and I only had 22 people that saw my last post. Okay, that's great. But it might also be included in an AI overview or in an answer, or it might pull in, any other time. So it's still important to show up and be visible on those platforms where your customers are as well. Great. So answered that one. Any other questions that I can answer on AEO, GEO, SEO, any of the EIEIOs that we can answer questions, or anyone from my team, if I missed anything, did you want to chime in on anything that I've missed here? If not, we'll just talk through the next webinar. We're doing these every Wednesday. I'm going to try and keep them shorter, try and keep to my 30-minute timeline because I know everyone's busy and we just want to make this a quick lunch and learn. Next week, we're going to talk through AI-ready website foundations. So the 5 things that build trust and win clicks actually that you can put right on your website. So that'll be a good one to talk through. We'll talk through some of the things that we touched on a little bit today, but kind of dive a little bit deeper into them next week. So I don't see any other questions coming in. We very much appreciate you all showing up. If you'd like to go leave a review for us, feel free to go Google Profusion Web Solutions and leave a review right there. These are the kind of educational opportunities that we'd like to provide to make sure that you have the latest in marketing information so that you can help your business get found as much as possible. Any questions, please let us know, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks, everyone.